Welcome to the Level Up Podcast, brought to you by Century 21, the Harrelson Group, featuring masterminds with real estate leaders, coaches, and influencers, plus eye-opening strategy sessions with up-and-coming agents. You'll learn exactly how to go from agent to entrepreneur. And now, let's get to the latest episode of Level Up.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Level Up Podcast. I'm Brendan Payne, and today we have an incredible guest coming to us from the wonderful Midwest where I grew up, and she is in Omaha, Nebraska. Ms. Lisa Ritter with RE/MAX Results. Lisa, thank you for hopping on and join us on the Level Up Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Brendan.
Absolutely. So, for those that may not know about you or who you are, what you stand for, if you can one of the things we like to do is just get everybody up to speed on your journey. I know you've been you're not new to this business, and so you've got a lot of experience. How have you ended up, where'd you start and where are you at right now?
Yeah. So when I started in real estate, I worked at a lot of companies in a 2-year time period. It's like, this one's too big, this one's too small, this one's just right. And eventually I ended up opening my own company 8.5 years ago, RE/MAX Results, because I'm like, culture is such an important deal. To have high energy, you need to be surrounded by the right people. And you are the sum of your closest people. Mm-hmm. So I did decide to open my own. Been very happy since then. I've done a lot of work in the volunteer arena for the Realtor Association as well. So I've been Omaha Area Board of Realtors President, Nebraska Realtors President. I currently serve as a national director. And the governor of Nebraska recently appointed me to be a commissioner just last September, which has been an incredibly fun journey and fascinating and interesting.
Awesome. So it's obviously tons of time in the business. And the interesting thing is you put in you paid your dues as a producer. You didn't yes. come in from another industry, buy a company. You learned, you made a living, you failed at some stuff, no doubt, along the way,
yes,
figured it out.
Sure.
One thing I have to point out, 2011, you opened your office. Now, there was a lot of things going on with offices in 2011, but most were closing. So what in 2011, 9-10 years in the business as an agent, what gave you the audacity to think that you're going to open an office and survive at that time where there was most parts of the country hadn't even really hit the bottom yet?
Great question. And looking back, even now, I kind of laugh how statistically improbable it was that I'd still be here. So I'm glad that I took that risk. It's been a beautiful risk. And when you take these risks, which is such a part of real estate, you just learn so much and gain so much in character. I've always said from the time that I started in the real estate business, there's plenty of business out there. You just have to be the best to earn it and deserve it. And I really feel like working on your character and having as good of character as you can be and as generous as possible and interested in others as possible, you're going to always have a career and not just survive, but thrive. So it doesn't matter what the economy is because there's always business out there. People are dying, getting divorces, moving jobs, all those sort of things. You just have to be amongst the best to earn it.
Yeah, that's so true. And, that's for anybody, no matter, I think the folks that have the wonderful people that have gotten into this industry in the last, say, 6 or 7 years, they are in a market where it will be different at some point. Nobody knows to what extent or when that will happen. But at the time that you opened up, in anybody that got in business from probably 2006 through 2013. They realized that if you really do, there were still transactions. There were still people that needed our help. But your point is well taken. You have to go out there and you have to earn it. So you got the skills. And you mentioned culture. So in those first 10 years of being an agent, when you decided, okay, I've got something that I want to build here beyond just me, what was the culture that you were going after? Like, what had you learned up to that point that you said, I'm not finding it, so I'm just going to go create it?
Yeah. So, in Omaha, there's like a few very large companies, and the most of the, a lot of the business and a lot of the agents just gravitate towards, oh, I'm not even going to interview. I'm just going to go towards those big companies. And really, you're just a number there. And I actually grew up bullied, believe it or not. I was the girl who sat by herself at lunch, got walked on the back of her heels, books tossed. Like, really, I was that girl. And so as an adult, I don't ever want to feel like a number or a wallflower again, or uncared about. I just want to be in an environment where, I'm appreciated, that I can appreciate the others around me, that I walk in the door and I feel a smile. I feel a sense of family, work family. And I think a lot of brokerages have gotten away from that. I mean, it's going to where you have lots of virtual brokerages, mega brokerages that are filled with hundreds and hundreds of people, and you are just a number. And I don't know how you learn as much. I don't know how you get as much mentorship, that sort of thing. I don't want it to be unpersonal. I want it to be a very personal, powerfully positive environment and experience, just like what we want to create for our customers.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. I see a correlation beginning to form between probably what you are coaching the agents that you have that they need to provide. And
yes.
I'm sure we'll be able to get into that here in just a little bit. So when you made the move, you said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want to create. This is what I'm seeing it's going away from. Then did you, what did your team or was it just you? You just said, okay, now it's going to be Remax results, and it's just going to be you, and now it's got a company behind there. How did you get going with the process of building it?
Great question. As a matter of fact, I did learn a lot from that transition. I actually had 4 other women that I had on a team, and 4 or 5. And I was also had my husband, he was involved somewhat, or just becoming involved in real estate with me. And almost none of those women came over to my new company with me. It was actually 5, and only 2 came with me. And the lesson I took away from that is I kept them in the dark on it. I didn't involve them in my decision in terms of, what franchise I was going with, when, what it would look like. I just didn't have enough trust at the time. And I don't know, frankly, whether that was warranted or true or not, or justified on my part. But it taught me that transparency is probably always a better policy. So that was a very good lesson that I learned in life. So it ended up just being 4 people that started Remax Results: my husband, myself, my sister-in-law, who's been very, very loyal, and then 1 other gal.
Wow. So you truly have grown this from, essentially what most people I think today would probably, these terms, offices and teams and stuff are used so interchangeably. You got to really dig in and see what's there. But you really started as like what today would probably be a small team,
Right.
And now have grown it into, you said you have 30 agents?
Yes. And they're productive agents.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, we're not a match for everybody. And I interview and I say, I know everybody says they're picky as a broker, but they're really not. They're going to hire you if you can fog a mirror. We're not that company. We're really interviewing each other to see if we're a match.
What are you looking, sorry to interrupt. I love that, because I think that's part of the challenge right now. That's why the industry, the washout rate is so high. And, I think brokers and owners, a lot of times their business model is, well, just get them in. And if they get a few deals, then I get a portion of those few deals. And but then you talk to them and they complain about turnover and they say it's expensive. And so there's never a combination of like, let the agent interview us and find out if there's a good fit there. So what are you looking for? Who are you the right agent or the right broker for?
Well, one of the criteria is that they have to want to be full-time. I am somewhat open to, hiring somebody that has to start out part-time, but within 6 months, they have to be willing to go full-time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that a person should trust their largest asset to somebody that's doing this, just as a hobby. So they have to be very committed to it. There has to be some budget there for marketing dollars to get going. So I asked them those questions. And now I have started, I will only hire a new person if they can prove to me that they have 100 people to start with to marketing for Sphere. And that's very unusual. I mean, most people really, the brokers don't have any criteria. Mm-hmm. They also do sign a performance contract, and not everybody's willing to sign a performance contract.
Would you mind sharing what that is?
Yeah. So they have to commit to being willing to do 2 sales every 3 months.
Okay.
Which is not a lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
That is not, that's like bare minimum, but as a new person, if that scares them, if they're not willing to at least think that big, then they are not for me.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to be willing to, be mentally in to make some commitment.
It's interesting how I imagine, because I have similar conversations, and when you bring that up, that's scary. And even when they come on, or they're like, oh my gosh, well, I don't know if I really want to do that. Yet the real goal that they tell you is that they want to do 40 transactions their first year. It's like, right. But the concern is that, well, I don't know if I got to do that stuff, and that stuff is really like going to get them maybe a couple of deals here and there just to make sure they're going to have a check. But they're going, but I really want to have 40 transactions. Like the disconnect between what they feel they're going to get for what they're willing to do is huge. So you might as well just vet it out then.
Exactly. Right. And so much of this game I call it a game. It's not a game really, but it's mindset.
Yeah.
And if they don't have the right mindset, if they're already doubting themselves on that low of a number, or scared that I'm asking them to put it in writing that, hey, we've got a goal, we're going to commit to, seeing it, then they're not for me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So if you are coming in and I'm sitting down with you and I say, okay, I answer all those questions. I'm committed. I've got the plan. I'm ready to go. And you feel comfortable when you say, all right, we're going to move forward. Mm-hmm. What in terms of the actual, let's get down to business and I'm going to go find success. What are your value adds right now? Because if you get somebody to that point, I think you're probably past I'm going to go and I got to get 95%, or I've got to do, I've got to get everything handed to me. You probably have people narrowed down that at least are on paper look like they're going to have some success. So then what are you implementing to be able to get them on board? Because I know you don't take a lot of newer agents, but the people that are coming over are still wanting to grow. They're not just leaving because I just want to change a different sign. What's your value add in helping them grow?
Well, I think I bring a lot of value to the table because I'm still producing broker. So they're not learning from somebody who, is doing it in theory. I have a process, and part of our process involves creating a good customer communication experience and helping them feel cared for. So I have, I share every ounce of what I'm doing and living, whether it be a marketing piece or my process or the applications that I'm using. My agents understand what I'm doing and have the option of implementing that. So I will hand over my exact marketing piece. I will hand over my exact pop buy. I will hand over all my spreadsheets. Mm-hmm. So, for example, we recently had somebody come over from another RE/MAX office, and we all have different policies and the ways that we go about things. And so I opened up my spreadsheet and said, from the time we list a home till the time, we're asking for a review, this is what the process looks like. And it includes things like sending a coffee card after home inspection resolution, like delivering a gift when they go under contract if they live in town. It could be something simple like cookies, or if we know them well, maybe a 6-pack of beer, whatever might float their boat. So, we just have processes that we love to have copied and followed.
Yeah. And I think that's a unique piece that a lot of times, if you understand how to actually do it in the trenches, then you got a lot more credibility with your team. There's so many, everybody's a coach in this day and age, and everybody's,
so true.
and you've actually got real tried and true coaching programs. And then you've got people that are implementing them and have never actually sat down face to face with somebody and listed a property or shown a property or negotiated an inspection or any of those things, yet they're teaching from a book. And I think the credibility that you have obviously goes a long way, and the transparency, you can have credibility, but if everything is under lock and key, then you're competition. You're not.
That's exactly right. Right.
Awesome. So where do you see right now? I mean, the industry's got a lot of changes. There's a lot of things, a lot of distractions. I mean, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, we'll date this podcast, but there's a lot of uncertainty, I think, going around now. How are you, how do you retain those people that you get? You build the culture, and I imagine you've got a high level of loyalty. Then what are you doing to continue to raise the bar on that so that you can not only attract, new people? I'm assuming you want to grow with the right fit, but also be able to keep those people that are committed now, but just keep getting tempted with, all the new bright, shiny systems and objects, and, I'll pay you 105% to come work for me.
Right. And that does really happen, by the way. You have to, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so, if somebody is sick, just saying, I'm sorry for what you're going through. What can be done to, help mitigate, some of your losses, and what do you have in place to make sure that, the ball doesn't get dropped, and just showing that you care in little ways. If somebody has a death in the family, I make sure that they get flowers. If I see somebody needs to be cheered up, I'll just go and sit 5 minutes with them and listen. You just got to show that you care.
Yeah.
And, when you're one of 400 in your ratio at these large offices, like, they're not even going to understand what's going on with them.
Sure. Yeah. You can, we've got those in our markets as well. And you imagine you walk in and, you run into somebody at a restaurant or having a drink somewhere, and you start talking, you find out you both work for the same company. You never knew who they were, like that. I mean, that's a reality, and that's one of those things. We all want growth, but boy, at some point there can be a cost to it for sure.
One of the things that's happened in my office is sometimes I do feel like, gosh, this place really could function without me for a while, which is a beautiful thing. And here's why, is that my people like each other. So we're purposeful about who we attract. Recently, I interviewed a person that, he took a little tour of the place. And afterwards, I talked to my people about, should we bring them on? And I listened to their answers. And it was a mixed bag. But like, if I bring somebody on that's a sour apple and they're not happy, then my whole culture is disrupted. So they have say, and they like each other. And so even if I have to be out for a few days or I'm on vacation, they feel supported by one another. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got really you've got the power of your systems and tried and true things that work, but you're really more of you've got the benefits of a smaller boutique or team size with the power behind it of the results.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So I know before we started, you and I were talking a little bit about just kind of the industry, and you were telling me that you're beyond your personal production, beyond the office and growing the office and coaching the agents. You're very involved in industry things and trying to change, some of the standards and I think the expectations, which absolutely is a good thing. Can you give us some insight into what you're doing right now? And in kind of the projects that you're a part of to try to make those changes?
hmm Well, the reason that I got involved in leadership in the Realtor Association is because when you are a leader of volunteers and need to inspire things to happen amongst volunteers, if you can get really good at that, you can get good at a lot of other things in life. Also, you have to work with your competition frequently. So they better know you as a person who's responsive, integral, and a person that they want to bring contracts to. So I can't say enough about getting involved in leadership, whether it be in the Realtor Association or in your community, because it will make you a better person. Because we're leading people through the largest transaction of their lives during one of the most stressful moments. So how good of a leader you are in other places absolutely translates to the customers that you serve.
Yeah.
And so right now I was recently appointed by the governor to be a Nebraska real estate commissioner. And what's cool about that is sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And you have influence in real estate laws in your state by being a commissioner. You have influence over hearings and outcomes, and it just makes you a better, more well-rounded person in terms of judgment, real estate law, in creating top-notch environment for your, in this case, state.
Yeah. Well, I think that's awesome. And there's no doubt there's a correlation between the stuff that you're trying to do on the level of service that you want to have the industry provide to the consumer, that goes hand in hand with kind of what you stand for, with what you're trying to provide your agents in the culture and things like that. So I think it's not surprising, and it seems like a natural progression of the things that you'd be involved in.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit before the call about, Zillow is just getting better and better at what they do in terms of values and Zestimates. It used to be that the Zestimates were a joke, but they are becoming less of a joke.
Yeah.
So suddenly we don't bring as much value to the table in providing, supporting data on a sales price. We bring value to the table on helping people interpret the information and make wise life decisions.
Yep. Yeah, agree wholeheartedly. And we, at 10, 12 years ago, we were the gatekeepers of all the information. It filtered through us, and now it's 100% transparent. And so we have to find a way that we can add value. And you're right. They're all getting better. We keep feeding them more data, and they keep learning. And
right.
there's the jokes that they're not as accurate as they used to be on the Zestimate and every other home valuation that's out there.
Yeah. And we need to be more than people just that open up doors and, unlock the key, and let people make their own, mistakes. We need to be life leaders for them. I mean, not making their decisions, but asking the right questions so that they can make the right decisions for their lives.
Yeah.
And knowing how to be a good leader is critical skill in today's work environment that we have.
Absolutely. So at this point where you're at now, what do you see next? I mean, obviously you've gone from agent to entrepreneur, and what else do you see that's out there? Are you focused primarily on growing your office and growing your agents, or do you have anything else in the books that is exciting coming up in 2020 or beyond?
I'd like to look to do more teaching in the future. I don't know that it's this year, but within the next 2 to 5 years, I'd like to explore that and perhaps give some more speeches. So nice. Yeah, I enjoy producing, so I don't see giving that up in my lifetime. I really love the thrill that provides in life. So I'll keep that up, and I'll keep running an agency because I love where I work. That's important.
That's
but
good.
adding some teaching, I think, will be beneficial as well, because and again, it's not replacing what I'm doing. It's just adding to. Sometimes there are people that instead of doing, they teach.
Yep.
And those are the people that should not be teaching.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. There's you're not looking to replace it. It's an enhancement.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Because when you're talking the talk, it disciplines you to walk the walk. I don't like to talk about it without doing it.
Yeah.
So I just think it's another value add for everybody.
Yeah. And I agree. When I'm 99% of the time, if I'm coaching one of my agents, I'm also coaching myself. It's just, I might not be in that position right then, but I'm like, hey, you need to learn from this because you're in the same position, or you will be soon. So
that's right.
This has been great, Lisa. I'm so happy that you were able to get on and join us today. If people in Omaha or otherwise in other areas of the country want to get a hold of you, how do they do that? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can either email me, lisa@omahare.com, or call or text 402-612-2413. My website is ritterssellhomes.com. Awesome.
And as always, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram. Message me. I will get back to you. And please do me a favor and leave some feedback, and always try to subscribe. And your feedback and your reviews, good or bad, help us continue to get great guests like Lisa on the Level Up podcast. And so one more time, thank you so much for joining us. And if you got some referrals and want to send them out Lisa's way, please do that. And hope to cross paths again with you soon.
Thank you so much, Brendan.
You're welcome.